Hey everybody, and welcome to the NintendoFuse Podcast. This is episode 185, entitled Ring Fit Adventures. And my name is Steve, but I am also joined by Barry. Hey Barry, how's it going?
Hey Steve, pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and we're also joined by Greg. Hey Greg.
Hi everyone. Always
Hey.
great to be here.
We had a couple weeks off because the anniversary show just took it out of us. That's what happened. So, so glad to see some of you guys in the chat, and we're back on a new day and time here on Tuesday. Sorry, for those of you guys who've been waiting in the chat room for us, we're running a little late. For some reason, my microphone just decided to start freaking out and everything before the show. But we're here now, we're ready to talk lots of news because we got to catch up a little bit from the last couple weeks, and then there's a bunch of new stuff, and even as usual, we have stuff that's coming out tomorrow because that's just what happens around here. NintendoFuse Podcast, even when we move it to Tuesday, there's a direct the next day. So we'll talk about that in just a bit. But before we jump into any of that, we just want to welcome you guys again and remind you to hit that subscription button there on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. And if you are on YouTube, hit the bell to be alerted every time we post a new video. Share this with friends and help us get the word out. Join our social media, our Discord. All those links are going to be in the description down below or in the show notes on your podcast app. But before we jump into all the news and discussion and all the game stuff that we're going to be talking about and reviewing today, let's talk about what we've been playing over the last 4 weeks, not just 2 weeks. What have you been playing over the last 4 weeks? Greg, how about we go to you first?
Well, considering we had extra time, the list is still kind of surprisingly short. So, still playing Fire Emblem Heroes daily. Still playing Dr. Mario pretty much daily, if not on a weekly basis, getting the events done through all that kind of stuff. And then finally over on Switch, just been playing Link's Awakening, which I just finally beat like last week. I tried to go for the 100%, but apparently I have to do it deathless, and I don't remember where I died, but apparently I did. So didn't really want to start over again, and don't think I can get the 100%. So I'm missing like one piece of heart and some other miscellaneous things, but I got like all the seashells and pretty much just about everything else, I believe, all the items. So, yep, that's pretty much my update there. I'm looking to start Dragon Quest 11 hopefully tomorrow, so yeah.
Nice. All right, Barry, what you been playing over the last few weeks?
Well, first off, Greg, you can get 100%. The only thing you miss is the final cutscene and the ending if you die, but you can still get everything else. So if you don't care about that, you can YouTube it just to see how they transitioned it. That's what I did because I didn't care. I died a couple times just messing around. But no, I've been a little busy on the mobile end. I'm still doing Dragalia, although it's slowing down a bit because it's a lot of repeat events that I'm kind of getting tired of, and I'm waiting for the new thing. But Mega Man is coming. By the next podcast, Mega Man will be there, which I'm happy about and excited about, but I'm also slightly upset with how they're doing the event. Pretty much they're not doing a summon showcase for Mega Man, which is both a good and a bad thing. It's good because I get to save my money. It's bad because I wanted more units besides Mega Man, but they are giving us Mega Man for free, as well as some special weapons and stuff, so that part's cool. Mario Kart Tour, I didn't expect to be playing. I'm still playing it. I've won the past few tours. The tour that ends tonight, the Halloween tour, I'm coming in fourth in my group. I've tried. I just can't beat the people who I'm paired up against. I don't know what they've done, how lucky they've gotten. I haven't really been using tickets to power up my stuff. I've just been doing the daily stuff, but I'm having fun with it, and I think that's the important thing. Is I'm still having fun with it at the moment. Still half-assing Pokemon Go, doing some daily stuff, missing some days. It's no longer a big priority. On the Switch end, however, I've been a little busy. Dragon Quest 11. I was playing the last podcast, and I finally finished it. It took me almost 100 hours to finish it. It is amazing. it is one of those games that I started the demo and I enjoyed the demo. That's the first 8 hours. I'm like, this is fun, and that doesn't touch on the game, and it's not padding length. It's just a very well told story, and it does some things that I haven't seen done since my favorite RPG, Final Fantasy VI, back in like '95. And it's one of those games that when you beat it, you think you're done, and you're not. Like the post game, it does what like Breath of the Wild should have done with post game. It lets you continue playing after you've beaten it, which is awesome. And the post game content, like you think, oh, there's just this little. There's like 20 something hours of post game content, maybe more. Like it's awesome. Highly recommend that game. I'm so happy that Greg, you're playing it, you're starting it. I can't wait to hear. Steve, you definitely need to try that demo. I'm now an advocate for that game. It is way better than I thought it would be. After that, I started Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Dungeon, and I'm over halfway through that. That is a lot of fun. That is more fun than I thought it would be. Although I will say this, I enjoy running around the overworld and doing the puzzles in the overworld more than the 2D levels. That's not to say the 2D levels are bad, because they're not. It's just, if you gave me Mario 64 or Mario 3, I'd rather play Mario 64. I like the sandbox type games. So I kind of wish there was more in the overworld to do, although there is a lot. And there's a really cool mechanic where every level, there's 20 levels, but there's really 40 levels, because every level has two versions of it. And depending on what you do in the overworld, you can change between the two versions. Like you can make turn on a giant fan, and now the level has wind. You can freeze a lake, and now the water level is now frozen in ice. A bunch of different things to change. You can add more enemies. It's just really cool. So I do recommend that game. I don't know if I'll actually beat the Impossible Lair, but it's been a lot of fun. I played a little Skullgirls, which I actually did not like. I've heard good things about it. I did not like Skullgirls. And now I am playing Luigi's Mansion 3, and I am almost done with that. I just got to the 12th, or I didn't just get to the 12th, but I'm on the 12th floor now. There's technically 17 floors counting the two basements. So I'm almost done with the game, but it's a lot of fun. I still got to go back and get more stuff, and I'm really enjoying it.
Nice. Let's see. Let's go to the chat. Jakester said he's been playing Stardew Valley and playing the Dragon Quest XI demo, and he does have a question for you, Barry, after the podcast. Yes. I don't know if he's if he's bragging there a little bit, Greg, but he said he did a deathless run. Maybe he's calling you out. I don't know. I'm just gonna read it that way. Maybe he didn't really intend it that way.
Yeah,
he's probably just saying, "Hey, I did it." That's all.
Yeah, I know it's not difficult. It was just because I didn't really remember the original playthrough, and then I got it locked me in a room against a monster I didn't have the bow and arrow for or something like that, and so it was kind of unfortunate that I had to die to it. And didn't figure out how to beat this one guy in the graveyard area or whatever.
Yeah. I think it definitely takes some dedication, because there's times that I've died in that game, and it's just by stupid mistakes. It's not like it's an incredibly difficult game. It's just why did I do that, sort of things, and which is unfortunate when you're trying to do a deathless run. You're like, oh, now I got to start over again, which is fun. That's the classic games and stuff like that. But it is unfortunate when one tiny little mistake all of a sudden means you have to start the whole thing over again. So.
Yeah, at least Breath of the Wild didn't have a deathless run.
Yeah, that would be quite the adventure. All right, so I have been playing, of course, Rocket League. Been playing through the latest Rocket Pass and everything. I don't even know what I'm high into those levels. I'm playing Luigis Mansion 3 as well. Not nearly as far as Barry is. I'm actually trying to record my footage and everything and live stream some of it. I actually opened up my YouTube gaming channel again that I hadn't touched since 2013 because I realized that every once in a while I try to stream over on Twitch, and it's next to impossible to start a following over there. And I was like, I actually got a decent amount of followers on my gaming channel. Let's open that back up. After like 7 years of inactivity, and so I've been posting stuff over there and everything. So I got 2 videos of my gameplay over there, but it's been really fun. I really love the cutscenes and everything else. Almost what it makes me want though is a Mario and Luigi arc, or like a cartoon. Like,
yeah.
We could just have that? Like, I want that because it was so well done. I think the cutscenes are some of the best that Nintendo has put out in that game. So, also played Jackbox Game 6. Had some friends over the November 1st, so like the day after Halloween. Had a little party over here and played some Jackbox, and that's pretty fun. They're a little hit or miss on some of the games, but it's been pretty fun. Played some Ring Fit Adventure. We'll talk about that in just a bit. And then played Zombie Driver on Switch as well. That is a really interesting game. Hard to control and know what's going on, and pretty much next to impossible for a first-time player to really know it. I failed horribly. I think I can't remember if I put that up yet, but it'll be up on NintendoFuse channel pretty soon. And then played some Burger Time Party, which is a pretty simple game as well, but it's pretty fun if you're a big Burger Time fan. And then played and reviewed Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD. And I personally feel that it is lacking because they took the motion control out, and I know I am I am in the minority with that of the other reviews and stuff that I've read after I put mine together, but I think that game was built around motion control, and when they took it out, the camera is incredibly jarring, and I don't know, I don't really enjoy it at all. I got motion sick pretty soon after I started playing because of all that. Unlike you, Barry, I've actually stopped playing Mario Kart because it is no longer fun for me whatsoever.
I've noticed.
Yeah, I'm done with it. I'm going back to regular real Mario Kart. And but I did get a chance to. This is not a game, but I finally did get a chance to get a Switch Lite in my hands. Went to Best Buy, and they had one on display, and that thing is incredibly comfortable, and I really liked it in my hands. So that's my short, simple first impressions of the Switch Lite. It was actually like, okay, I could see this happening. So all right, but yeah, so that's a lot.
I see you got rid of Dr. Mario World because you're no longer on my friends list.
I didn't get rid of it. It's still on my phone. That's weird.
Oh,
maybe it's like might as well just
it shows
take
Barry's still there, but I know Barry hasn't played it.
Yeah, I've played it forever.
That's weird.
I don't know if it lost the link to your Facebook or something, or
maybe. I do know there was a couple other games that I played that they're like not Nintendo games on my phone, and they lost a link to Facebook. So I wonder if I have to go back on and like reconnect it or something. Weird.
Maybe.
But,
I guess Steve uninstalled it because he wasn't playing it.
yeah, it's still there. Like my account still exists, so I don't know.
It's funny you mentioned about Monkey Ball with the motion controls, which is it's one of the games I'm hoping to maybe get some time to go play, just because I love Monkey Ball. But it's funny because I'm actually having a problem with Luigi's Mansion 3 with the controls, and I'm not the only one. And it's probably my biggest complaint. Not probably, definitely is my biggest complaint with the game is that you can't invert the controls. And what's weird is that the controls are inverted in Luigi's Mansion 1. But they're not inverted in this, and you can't. And I really hope they fix it with the patch. Of course, I'll be done with the game by then.
Yeah.
And I think in 2019, there's no reason not to have that option. It doesn't take away anything from the game. It just gives people a choice. And I think the reason it bothers me so much is I'm so used to having inverted camera, because right stick is usually camera. Here, it's the opposite. So I'm spinning around, and I'm getting hit by like bats and rats that I shouldn't be, just because I can't. Like I'm trying to opponent them, and I was just spinning around in circles, and I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like, just point that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt it's actually kind of similar for Monkey Ball, too, because I feel like the sticks are a little too sensitive. Like I wanna tone down the sensitivity because I've noticed myself in Luigi's Mansion as well spinning too much. Like I just want to like barely move, and he's like, whoop, whoop. I'm like, calm down, Luigi. It's okay. Like just barely move. I just want to bear it. And I also think it's interesting. Like I didn't realize they had motion control for that as well, which I do like. But it's only up and down. It's not left and right. And I would have preferred everything.
But I would, you know what? I'd rather use the stick.
Yeah.
I'd rather just tilt up or down with the analog stick.
But I think at the same time, like I think what you were saying is 2019, you have the ability to incorporate all of this. Just give us all those options and let us turn on what we want to turn on, turn off what we want to turn off. I think
they'll do it in a patch, but I think it's an oversight. I think in 2019, 2020, if you make a 3D game, just give people the option.
Yeah. Especially when you have systems now and controllers now that have multiple options on it. Like they're built for that purpose. Yeah.
Options are always a good thing, never a bad thing.
Right.
Exactly.
So
people want to be able to jump with a certain button, they should be able to jump with a certain button.
That's right. What was that? There was another game that they switched up the jump and run buttons on me and totally threw me off. It was Shovel Knight. I was like, I had to go in there and turn that thing around. I was like, why did you switch this on me? Like, I've been programmed for so long that those are different buttons, and you go and decide to switch it up?
I remember Mega Man Anniversary Collection on the GameCube where they switched jump and fire in opposite as the Xbox and the PS2 version of that game. And it's like, all our life we played Mega Man with A, jump, and B, fire, and now you're switching that on us? What? No. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Jakester says at least Banana Blitz isn't a VR game. Yeah, that would be awful. You see bananas thrown up everywhere. All right, so let's move on and talk to another game that may make some people throw up. Let's talk about Ring Fit Adventure. So of course I have it. I liked how the when you open up the box, it had it a little bit on display. A little bit, it was kind of tilted. It's just sitting in there. It was kind of nice little display. You got your ring thing here. Like it's I don't know. Like I think it's pretty good build quality. This is actually a pretty significant device there. The leg strap is kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie, it's weird, but it works, I guess. Ring Fit Adventure, I have had about that much time with it, and to be completely honest with you, it all started at about an hour and a half ago. So that's when I finally opened the box and finally tried it, because I've been playing all these other games and on the go a lot lately, so I haven't really got a chance to finally sit down and play it. And so about an hour and a half ago, I sat down, or didn't sit down, I stood up and played it, and I think I logged about 9 minutes of actual gameplay, and I was pretty much dripping with sweat already. So I will say from first impressions, it is a significant workout. It does a really good job of getting you worked out and everything. And there were muscles that I had not moved in a long time because of the squeezing and different things like that. So very quick first impressions. It's not bad for the workout side of things. I haven't played enough to think beyond that, but as far as a workout, even the very beginning things I did was a pretty good game. Have either of you guys got any time with Ring Fit Adventure?
Not me. It's been on my Christmas list, so I might get surprised with it on Christmas Day, or might have to use Christmas money to get it. So.
All right.
Yeah, I have not actually played it, but I've watched my wife play it, and she's on the second world. She loves it. I've watched, she's breaking a sweat, and she thinks it's great with the checking, but the problem is, again, it's life, it's time. Mm-hmm. And she set a reminder on her Switch to remind her every day, like, I'm going to do this every day. And then life happens. She stays late at work, or, we have to go take care of dinner. We just actually, between podcasts, we had a carpet ripped up in our house for the hardwood, and we went back to hardwood. So that's a whole process, and we couldn't get upstairs. And, it's one of those things where in an ideal world, like, I would be playing it with her. I've been playing all these other games, and it's like I'm not going to stop Dragon Quest right now to get into a new other RPG where I'm going to work out, and I know I'm not going to be able to give it that time. And it's one of those things where if you want to work out, you can go to the gym, you can go for a jog. That's great, but if you do it once, you might as well not do it at all. Really, like that's not going to do anything for you. So I'll probably tackle it, ironically, when I have time. Hopefully, after some of these bigger games, leave November. There's a lot coming out right now that I really want to play. Maybe around Christmas time and January and stuff, when things are calmed down a bit, I'll give it more of a go and more of a chance. But from everything I've seen, I love the presentation. It's really in depth. There's a lot to it. She even had to replay a level to grind to get to the next level because she wasn't strong enough to defeat the enemies. I'm like, wow, there's grinding even in this workout RPG. So I think it's very novel. It's well made. And a lot of people are joking that Ring Fit Adventure is a better RPG than Game Freak's Little Town Hero. It's kind of funny. Like Game Freak, who've done so many RPGs, can't beat a workout RPG. So take that as you will. But yeah, I do recommend it from everything I've seen. I wish I had more time right now.
Yeah. I think the cool thing is that even during the initial tutorial levels and stuff, I was surprised at how much of workout I was getting, because I thought I picked one of the workouts, coming up to the first enemy, and I was like, okay, I'll pick this one. And so it's like you raise it over your head and you squeeze. And I was like, okay, cool, I did it once. And it's like, do it again. I was like, okay, I did it again. Okay, can I pick a different one? Nope, do it again. Okay. Oh, okay, I get this now. Oh, my arms are about to fall off, and I still have to keep going and go faster. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so faster.
Yeah, and then finally, I started understanding it a little more and everything, and then I started realizing, wow, okay, I'm wanting to get past this guy, but I need to put the effort into it. I'm like, I could totally see how this is all going to work out. So I'm actually looking forward to having that thing, because I think it's totally, we've been talking about this for a long time. People are trying to gamify everything because of it just gets you into it more. And I think exercise is definitely one of those things, gamifying it like this. I want to get past those levels. I want to progress in the game, and in order to do that, I've got to put more effort into it, and I've got to actually put the time into it. And so it's definitely playing on that little thing in my brain that's going to be okay, this is going to get me to exercise more often. And it's also working, like I said, with the ring. I don't know how it works out, and I'm sure they've talked to a bunch of fitness experts and things like that, but the squeezing and the pulling is working different parts of my arms that I don't think I've really had worked out with regular lifting weights or things like that. So it's a cool concept, I think, that you could even pair with other types of workouts if you wanted to as well. So, but yeah, your wife is enjoying it so far, though.
Yeah. So she's played it, I think, 2 or 3 days.
Nice.
Since it's come out, and she played on day one. But like I said, it's life.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, she could be playing it while I'm doing this podcast, but instead she's watching The Little Mermaid live because she wants to do that. So
of course, yeah, of course. That's priorities for sure. How did the reminders work? Because I just set some up, but I haven't actually, of course, seen them pop up or anything like that.
I have no idea because she didn't see it pop up. She set it for 6:30, and the second time she played it, it was 7:30, and I'm just gonna go play it.
Yeah.
So I have no idea.
I feel because I think they do come up on the Switch, and was that could be a great connection point for the Nintendo Switch online app. I'm for those to come up on my phone, I'll actually see those, because I don't have my Switch on me all the time, but I have my phone on me all the time, my Apple Watch. If it came up within that, I was oh yeah, I actually need to go and fire up the game and play. But if it's just popping up on my Switch and I'm not even around it, I don't know if it's really going to help. So.
Well, I mean, if it does pop up on your phone and you still don't have your Switch, I mean, how are you going to be able to play it anyways?
Good point, but at least I'd see it. Good point.
All right. You can use the reminders in your phone and be play Ring Fit at
that. Actually, is probably the better idea than just using the built-in one. But
that's a smart idea.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on, and just a quick moment. I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that Nintendo did a few weeks ago now send out a tweet. Just make sure you don't sit on your Switch. I just want to let you guys know that that's a bad thing. Nintendo wants to let you know. So they made a public service announcement via tweet to make sure you don't sit on your Switch. So just to let you know. Has that even been a problem?
2019,
Isn't that part of my workout and Ring Fit Adventure?
Right.
Yeah, I do the squats.
Exactly. Oh boy. All right. On to more important news. They also let us know about a lot of sales reports over the last few weeks. So they did have their investor briefing that just happened. So we found out a lot of most recent information from that. But as of a few weeks ago, we found out that they surpassed 15 million sales in North America. They are surpassed that by now as well. Also, Nintendo Switch sales were up more than 20% year to date over last year, and then in the U.S. Alone, Nintendo Switch has been the best-selling video game console for 10 months in a row. That was as of last month, so that may have actually gotten up to 11 months by now, and that's according to the NPD group. And then as of the end of June, they had sold 38 million Switches worldwide, surpassing the Wii U. And then by the end of September, they had surpassed more than 46.67 million worldwide. And that most likely they will be surpassing the Super Nintendo sales pretty soon. So Nintendo Switch is still selling like crazy. Greg, what do you have? Any thoughts toward this? More than just kind of congratulations, Nintendo. Any thoughts about Nintendo still selling like tons of Switches?
That's obviously very incredible. I mean, you have to know it would have to pass the Wii U. I mean, the Wii U was considered.
Well, it passed the Wii U a long time ago.
Yeah,
in the first
no,
year.
Yeah, I was going to say that had been a long time ago. But yeah, that's definitely good to see. I'm surprised it's actually catching the Super Nintendo. I thought the Super Nintendo was higher up there than it is, I guess. But yeah,
40-something million, I think, Super Nintendo.
Oh, I didn't realize. Wasn't Super Nintendo the third most Nintendo console?
Yeah. Nintendo, the
console,
NES was like 50-something million, and the Wii is 100.
100, yeah, hundreds.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, so
I mean,
still really good feat. I mean, they still got they still have several years ahead of them. So we'll have to see how they handle the new Xbox and PlayStations coming out over the next few years. So
yeah. Barry, do you think does it have enough legs to actually surpass the Wii eventually, or are we just going to kind of see it probably nestle right under the Wii as the second highest selling?
I think that all depends on Nintendo. It has the potential to blow past the Wii, and it also has the potential to fall around 3DS numbers in like the 75 million. You have to remember that the Switch now is the first Nintendo system since the NES to be completely uncontested by Nintendo themselves. Ever since the Game Boy, all home consoles have been paired with a portable. And granted, when the Switch launched, obviously the 3DS was still selling. Now there is only the Switch. So before, when you looked at the Wii numbers, it was 100 million. That's impressive. It was paired with the DS. That was 145 million. That's very impressive. The Wii U was terrible at 13 million, but it was paired with the 3DS, which was 70-something million. So it wasn't as bad. Now everything's falling on the Switch. And like Greg said, you have the Xbox Scarlet and you got the PS5 coming next year. That tells me that Nintendo needs to do one of two things. They either need to make a brand new console to compete so that they can get those third parties, which would either be a partner with the Switch or cannibalize Switch sales, so Switch would fall. Or they need to make a real Switch Pro, not a slightly enhanced, but something that can play the equivalent of Scarlet and PS5 stuff, and charge more. Make it a $350 handheld. Will it sell a lot initially? No. But the hardcore will get it. And this is important, it has to be able to play all previous Switch games. And upscale them. So like Witcher 3 runs really well, but it has some frame rate stutters. Well, now on the Switch Pro, it runs like a dream. They need to do that to compete. If they do nothing and they leave it alone, will it still sell? Yes, because it has no competition in the handheld department. So yes, it'll still sell. But it's probably going to peter off, at the 70, 80 million mark at that point, because people will have moved on. The Switch won't get Doom 2016. It won't get Wolfenstein 2. It won't get Doom Eternal. It won't get Witcher. It won't get these new third-party ports because it won't be powerful enough. And that is huge. And Nintendo needs to realize that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to peter, and that's that. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. But it did outsell the Xbox One. So it's not just about raw power. It is about the games. But we've seen Nintendo take a console and support it 100% themselves virtually with the N64, the end of the GameCube, and the end of the Wii, and of course the Wii U pretty much its entire life. And all those systems underperformed with the exception of the Wii, which had a terrible attachment rate with games. But all those systems were paired with a portable system that helped cushion the blow from lower sales.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
Forgot though, the Switch does have Doom 64.
It does. It absolutely
There
does.
you go.
The Switch's
I'd like to see
library
the Scarlet play that.
the Switch's library is one of my favorite libraries, and could be my favorite library of all time because of how many games are being brought to it. Hands down, the library is awesome.
Yeah.
It's just, is it going to be able to survive on older games, or will people want, like Cyberpunk, for example? People want Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is not coming to the Switch.
Yeah.
Would it come down the road? They said maybe, but even like Outer Worlds is coming to the Switch, but it's coming early next year, and it's already out on the PS4 and the Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
So these ports are already coming late. Imagine trying to bring a PS5 or a Scarlet game to the Switch, how long it's going to take and how many compromises. Do you remember playing like N64 games that were PS1 ports, and like the music was like stripped down or MIDI'd, and it was like, this is clearly the inferior version of this game.
Yeah. I remember playing Wii ports of Xbox and PlayStation games as well, and it was the same sort of thing. Yeah. So here's a question though. Now that we're getting this far into the Switch's life cycle, and it's going to be before long, we're going to be celebrating its 4th anniversary. So at this point, what is the better move if you were, as we do, we speculate as if we were in charge of Nintendo a lot. 4th or 3rd? Third?
2017.
Oh, okay. 17. Okay, so 3rd anniversary. So could be there. So what is it better for them to produce a Switch Pro sort of thing, an enhanced version of it, continue with the Switch line, and continue to just keep adding, get those numbers higher, or is it better to produce an actual brand new console that they call Switch 2 or whatever they want to call it, but it's technically a brand new console. Maybe it's backwards compatibility. I think it'd be great if it was. I think it would make sense. But is it a different console or just an enhanced version of the current Switch? What is the better move in the next year or something like that to compete with what PlayStation and Xbox are going to do? Greg, what do you think?
I would immediately want to jump to the Switch 2 between those two options, but I think given what's more the reality of the situation is they're just going to continue to rely on their heavy hitters. We got like Breath of the Wild 2 and like Animal Crossing's coming up in like next year, and we have still Pokemon coming out in a few weeks, and there's still like tons of life's still going to be around on the Switch, and Metroid Prime 4, I even forgot about that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're going to try to rely on those. I think if they try to go for a mid-grade, it could cause some stagnation. I mean, at least with the 3DS, I felt more stagnated, that they had the games that was only on the new 3DS, and then they had to make games that were on both. So I think by doing that kind of concentration, they could overall affect the sales of those games that have to be split or only on the newer one as opposed to also on the older one.
Yeah.
So that's why my approach would be more of the direct successor, Switch 2, because then you have another platform and then building up the library from there. But as you said, the backwards compatibility would be very huge for them to have, to be able to play Breath of the Wild 1 and 2 on the newer console as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And maybe this is another question, Barry. Like as you think about that as well, like what's the difference then? If it is backwards compatibility, what is the difference between an enhanced version versus a sequel? If both of them have backwards compatibility, does that really matter in the end, or what? What do you think?
I think it matters. The reason I say that is there's a big difference between a sequel and an enhanced version. A sequel is another generation up in power. An enhanced is usually a slight increase in power. You look at the PS4 and you look at the specs of the PS5. There's a big difference. You look at PS4 to PS4 Pro, there's a difference, but it's not the same. Same with Xbox One to Xbox One X versus Xbox One to Scarlet. Mm-hmm. And even if you look at Nintendo's own offerings, the DSi was more powerful than the DS, but not by much. The new 3DS was more powerful than the 3DS, but again, not by much. And
then you had, the GameCube is the same as the Wii, so.
Yeah, exactly. And people make a big deal about like, oh, it was exclusive games. You know what? There were like 5 physical DSi games, and there was 4 physical new 3DS games, or maybe 5. Like, it's such a small margin. It's not a big deal. People make a big deal out of it. But Nintendo did something that might be biting them in the butt. And what that really is they came up with the Switch mid-generation. And if they were to come out next year and say holiday 2020 to combat the PS5 and to combat the Xbox One Scarlet, here it is, brand new Switch 2, and Switch is now dead, you're going to piss off a lot of people that just bought the Switch. The Switch isn't even 3 years old yet. If they kill it now, that's worse than the Wii U. And this system is selling unlike the Wii U. So no, you can't kill the Switch. You can't touch the Switch. What you can do is you can do an enhanced port to tide yourself over, or enhanced version, tide yourself over, that is backwards compatible, and plan a Switch 2 or another home console. Or if they want to stay handheld, but make it on a whole new level, and it has to be backwards compatible. One of the big things about the DS, when the DS launched, you couldn't get the DS. I worked at GameStop at the time. We got 6 in, and they were gone before we opened up the box they contained. Mm-hmm. They were out of there. And the DS launch lineup was not that good. I mean, Mario 64 DS was fine, and but there was not that many great games on the DS at launch. The reason it sold so well was not only was it a new Nintendo system, but it also played Game Boy Advance games. So you could still carry over your old library. The 3DS, that launch was terrible. It had a terrible launch lineup. It obviously launched so badly that they had to lower the price. But one saving grace was it had DS games that could play on it. Mm-hmm. And if you cut that out, that would just be terrible. So you don't want to do that. But you also don't want to alienate those people that are buying a Switch right now. You just put out the Switch Lite and now you're killing it? Wait, what? Like, that's just going to piss people off. Yeah. That is a Sega move. That is what killed Sega in the 90s. You can't do that. You have to keep supporting the system for at least a couple more years if you're going to get new people in. So, in my opinion, it's really a rock and a hard place. And I'm not going to say one way is better than the other because no one knows. But if they want to get, it all really depends on if they want to get back into the home console business. If they want to get into the home console business, the best thing they could do is put out a system that actually competes with the Scarlet and competes with the PS5. It might cost money. The diehards will go for it, but they need to do that. And most importantly, it needs to be backwards compatible. There needs to be a spot for you to put the Switch games in and play them. The PS5, we already know, is fully backwards compatible with the PS4 right off the bat. So people may not even care about PS5 games right away, but they may buy it just because it's going to enhance their already existing PS4 library. It's going to have new VR. That's going to play all of PS4 VR's games. Like, that is smart. That is very, very smart. And Nintendo needs to follow suit. If they want to be really cool, they can have it be fully backwards compatible, but Nintendo doesn't stick with one medium, which makes it very hard to do so.
Yeah.
But they could put a little Switch card reader on there, and I think they would need to do that. If they want to stay handheld, which is perfectly fine, and they do want to do a Switch too, they need to make it significantly more powerful. They need to be able to make it play all Switch games, and they need to still support the existing Switch, at least for the time being, much like they supported the GBA after the DS came out, and they supported the DS after even when the 3DS was failing. Remember, Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 came out on the DS. Pokemon Conquest came out on the DS. And people were like, why are these not coming out in the 3DS at this point? So Nintendo was still supporting the old guard. They have to do that here, too. They could release on both systems simultaneously and say you can get either version, but both versions will play on the Switch 2, and only the original Switch version will play on the Switch. That's something they could do, but
yeah,
will they do it? Who knows?
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too, like to figure out like what are they going to do about the fact that they're on a different cycle. They're in the mid cycle, like you talked about. Do they bide their time by putting out an enhanced and then worry about that? Because if they try to compete with the Scarlet and the PS5, like that's a full jump to a brand new system. Yep. I don't see them doing that necessarily after 3 years. So like, what's the plan, or is it okay? They just completely, almost competing in a different market like they have for a while. And you know what? We don't care anymore. We're selling systems. We're doing great. We're actually surpassing the Xbox One. It's no problem at all. We're doing great. We're just going to keep on, plowing ahead. Greg, I don't know. What do you think? They get back on the same cycle and try to compete there, or should Nintendo just keep doing their own thing?
Well, I mean, we'd all obviously would like to see them compete, because that's kind of what the raging thing is, all with the fanboys and everything. But I feel like Nintendo's already done kind of trying to compete with power-wise. I mean, we've seen this several times now, like since the Wii, that it's just they're not able to keep up with the power because they're more concerned with their end price for like to have a system for like all for like anybody. So I don't think that we'll get the power upgrade, unfortunately, at least for some time, like another edition down the line. Maybe it'll be as strong as like the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, but I don't know. I just see them just kind of like more flatlining on the power, like significant power upgrades, and just keep doing what they're doing. I mean,
Nintendo is fully confident in their own first-party stuff and their second-party stuff, but they need to have some kind of competing if they want third-party stuff. Third parties will not go out of their way to make a Switch version if they don't feel the Switch version will sell. And if the Switch version is by far the inferior version, then it's not going to sell. It's a catch-22. We've seen this. The one of the main reasons the Wii has the library it did is because of the PS2. If Sony stopped the PS2 supporting and killed the PSP, the Wii's library would have been much smaller, because companies made Wii-specific versions of games simply because they were able to port them to the PS2 and the PSP to recoup costs. The Wii U, the same thing happened at the beginning of the Wii U life cycle. If you look, a lot of their games were 360 PS3 games that were also ported to the Wii U. Once that stopped, the Wii U, what little third party it had, dried up. The Switch is getting a lot of 360 and PS3 games. Now those, you're talking, over decade-old games in some of the cases. And people don't want to play decade-old games right now. The majority want to play the newest game. And yeah, you got Wolfenstein 2, you got, Doom 2016, Doom Eternal. Panic Button is great. They're putting out current gen stuff. But current gen is from 2013. Current gen is from 2013. That's going to be 7 years ago at this point. Yeah. That's a long time. And again, people don't want to play 7-year-old games. Like I said, Cyberpunk is huge right now. Like there's a ton of people talking about it, a ton of people want it. And with it not coming to Nintendo gets zero money from that game. Mm-hmm. Zero. They could be getting that money. They could be raking in. And that's just one example. guaranteed the PlayStation 5 is going to get a ton of third-party support.
Yeah.
The Xbox Scarlet is going to get a ton of third-party support. And those specific games, those high-quality games, those 4K Uber adventures, Nintendo is going to see none of it because they're marching to the beat of their own drum, which works for them. If they want to put on their blinders and sell their own games and watch the sales slowly trickle because they stopped getting those third-party supports, they're going to get the indies. The indies are going to flock. They're going to get the lesser games like Monkey Ball HD, which I'm not saying it's a lesser game. I'm saying it's not a high definition, true 4K game. They're going to get stuff like that. Great. They get a remake of a Wii game. Like, awesome. But that's not what the majority of people want. As sad as it is, the majority of people that buy games buy it for sports, buy it for racing, buy it for Call of Duty, and buy it for the big AAA marketing push games that you see at GameStop. And outside of Nintendo titles, Nintendo doesn't get a lot of them. Very, very little.
Yeah, out of all those genre and games you just specified, they haven't been on there since like Wii. So like,
and even that was abysmal.
On Switch. Yeah, they're not even on Switch, and Switch is doing just fine the way it is right now, pretty much. So.
Yeah.
EA is not even putting Madden, and their last FIFA was a legacy shit edition. And FIFA is a huge game. I don't play FIFA, but I know it sells like hotcakes. I don't play Madden, but it sells like hotcakes. What a lot of people don't realize is that if you are a console manufacturer and a game is sold for your system, you get a cut of it because it's on your system. So if Madden's going to sell 30 million units, and if it's 17 million on PS4 and 13 million on Xbox One, Nintendo sees none of that. If Nintendo were to get in that pool and say, oh, look, it's 10 million, 10 million, 10 million now, just for example, Nintendo gets a cut of that 10 million copies. That's a lot of money. That's money. It's a company. Companies want to make money. This is a no-brainer. You want to attract these third parties, and underpowered hardware is not the way to do it.
Yeah. But also, there's been third parties that's been on time and time again. They don't like putting their games up against the Nintendo games because they simply aren't being sold on Nintendo hardware.
You're right, especially when there's and that's because Nintendo's been so different. That's the thing. Nintendo has been so radically different. The last time they really competed was the GameCube, and even there they had the stipulation of the smaller discs. But there's nothing on the system outside like FIFA. And the NBA and FIFA, by the way, are selling well on the Switch. They are selling well, despite going against Nintendo systems, because there's nothing else.
Right.
If you want to play basketball, you have no choice. You're buying NBA 2K. What else is there? The Playgrounds? Well, guess what? That's also made by 2K. So you have no choice. You're buying those games. Nintendo isn't putting out competition. And even the stuff that Nintendo that is in competition, like Rayman Legends, for example, that's sold well on the Switch. Yooka-Laylee sold well on the Switch, despite coming out like a year after the PS4 and the Xbox One version.
Yeah.
So I think that argument is almost moot at this point.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. I have no idea. I mean, I'd love to see a pro edition of it. I'd love to see them start to compete more. I'd love to see some of those games. I'm not a Madden player, but I really like FIFA. I'd love to actually see a real FIFA game on there. I love the concept of having Madden on my Switch might actually convince me to play Madden more. Because that could be fun to be able to bring it around and play that on the go with other people. Like that kind of a game like that, I could actually see myself playing more on the go and stuff like that. So it's unfortunate, and I wonder at that point, do they think, it's not like, and I don't know what the porting process is and everything. Is it not worth it for some reason or what? But yeah, if they created that enhanced version, maybe eventually upgraded it to a brand new, hardware, is that eventually going to bring them back? Or I wonder if EA and other companies like that they've just checked out, and it's it's going to take a really, really big turnaround for them to actually come back at this point, because they've been gone for so long.
I think EA needs a smaller turnaround. Especially after their whole retraction, like, oh no, we're sorry, because they face backlash. I think porting a game, it's not just pushing a button. Like, all right, here's the PS4 build, here's the Xbox One build, here's the Switch build. There's a lot to it. And for systems that are very similar architectural-wise, it is almost like pushing a button. But for things like the Switch, you can't just push a button because the engine may not run. And then you have to recode the entire game. And if you've ever done coding, it is a nightmare to recode and rework stuff. And that's just one of those things where it's not as easy to do that. And it, like, Panic Button almost had to, like, rebuild Doom to get it running, and they did a great job. And like you said, but you would probably play Madden because I'm portable. I know people that would buy the crap out of it because a lot of gamers are, those of us that started when gaming's heyday, we're in our 30s now. The generation behind us are in their 20s, and the generation ahead of us are in their 40s. And a lot of us have children. A lot of us are just having children. And a lot of when you have a kid, you lose a lot of free time. And you start to realize, hey, I can't sit down and play on the TV for a while, but I can watch my baby, let him sleep, and I could sit in the chair next to it and play a portable game. Like, holy crap. And if they can play Madden that way, even if it's a little underpowered, they'll do that because it's better than not playing anything at all. And Nintendo can capitalize on that so well if they just bring up the power a bit. People, the hardcore don't mind spending a little money. Will the casual buy a $400 handheld for their 5-year-old? No. You got the Switch Lite. The 5-year-old's fine with that. But the 30-something with making $70,000 a year is going to be like, let me pay $400. I would pay $400 right now for a Switch that could play PS5 stuff. That portably, I would. I think most people who are gamers would do that. Even Greg said, like, yeah, I would get a high-powered for that. And you're like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Like, let's do it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of numbers and prices, I got some good news for you guys that have not purchased a Switch yet, or a Switch Lite, or maybe you're wanting a second one. At least Walmart is finally going to have we're going to have our first Black Friday sale on Switch hardware. Apparently, they've got the Switch marked down to $199 for Black Friday, and the Switch Lite for $149. So that's a pretty amazing deal, especially for a Switch. So if you've not gotten one yet and you want to, put your life on the line and go out there for Black Friday sales, then have at it. And hopefully you can do that. If not, then maybe you can, it's $50 for the Switch Lite, but $100 cheaper for a Switch that's a pretty good deal. That's a regular price for a Switch Lite. You can get a Switch. So is that enough to make you guys get a second or a third or fourth or fifth Switch?
I don't have a.
Not yet. No.
I'll get a Switch Lite.
Yeah.
but I'm gonna get a Switch Lite. I'm gonna get it from Best Buy. Hopefully they match that in Best Buy at Black Friday, because I've got gift cards and reward points from all the games I bought.
Gotta get the Pokemon edition, right?
I'll get it for free. I'll probably get the turquoise, which is the most popular.
Is it really?
Yeah. Fun fact about Walmart though, they sell their Switch games at $50. Like, not 60. Like, Luigi's Mansion 3 is 60 everywhere, but if you go to Walmart, it's 50.
Interesting.
So that's something, like, if you don't have Gamers Club anymore or anything like that, that is something that a lot of people have been talking about. Like, Walmart is selling their Switch stuff at $50.
See, the problem here, Barry, at one point we had this conversation about physical stuff, and it lasted like quite a bit after the podcast was over. And there was a while back when you told me, you don't get charged ahead of time. Just go ahead and start pre-ordering them all on Amazon. And so I started pre-ordering games on Amazon, and I paid $60 for Luigi's Mansion.
No, you didn't.
I paid $59.04.
You pre-ordered right before they took away the Prime stuff, I thought.
Oh, maybe this one not, because this was later.
Yeah,
but I've been doing that since then.
Yeah, but I told you, but they didn't charge you until it shipped. Am I right?
Right, that's true. But now I need to cancel all my pre-orders and go buy them at Walmart instead.
I'm just letting you know that's a PSA. This is something I've been told.
That's
so
true.
Go
The
there.
only problem with my Walmart, I don't know if this is the case on all of them, but they don't ever have them at midnight. I have to wait till later, like because it's a 24-hour Walmart, and it's like 2 miles from my house as well. And so I drive over there at midnight or just before, and like, oh yeah, you guys like no, that shipment doesn't come in till like I don't know 9 in the morning or something. I'm like, oh man, I gotta go back and go to sleep. I was hoping to get it midnight, so. Yeah.
I stopped caring about midnight launches. I'll play it when Amazon delivers it. I'm fine waiting at this point.
There's only certain games that I really wanted to get, but
even like Luigis Mansion 3 that came like lately. Best Buy's been doing UPS, and UPS doesn't deliver to my house until around 7 p.m. So like even on launch day, I don't get it till 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So it's like I'll play something else until then. I'm not gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm done getting games on Amazon after they gave me 3 houses like 2 or 3 days later. It was like,
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
This was pre-ordered. This was supposed to be on like.
I hope you got stuff back for them. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is crazy. Also, I thought it was interesting just a note. I don't know if there's much conversation around this, but there's a device called the Analog Pocket that's going to be coming out in 2020 that's going to be able to play Game Boy and Game Boy Gear games. Did you guys see this, and does it interest you? Greg, what do you think about this?
Probably not really terribly too much. I'm looking kind of like at the classic Game Boy, so I would more likely like the original hardware than getting something that just plays the games.
Okay. Yeah. It's probably got a better battery life, I'm assuming, than the original Game Gear, which would be exciting. But yeah, Barry, you excited about the Analog Pocket?
Actually, I am. Analog has been making some really good quality systems, and I don't own any of them. They are expensive, but from everything I've heard, they're really, really good. I do play on original hardware, but there was a problem with some of those systems. First off, the Game Gear. I mean, it's a battery slog, and any Game Gear you find now, the capacitors need to be resoldered. The image is going to have lines through it. The sound may not even work. Those systems back then were made very cheaply. The Turbo Express is another one that has these problems, and the Atari Lynx. Like any of these systems, you're going to need resoldering, and if you can't do it, you need to find someone that can do it, or you're not really even going to be able to play with the original hardware. So this is a godsend because it's like an all-in-one, and the fact that the screen itself is a higher quality screen, backlit, the whole 9 yards. It's going to be good quality stuff. So I'm excited for it. I don't know the price yet, but
yeah, I'm not sure if they released the price yet or not. But
it's something that if you have a backlog of Game Boy games, Game Boy Color games, you have them still sitting in a drawer, and you may want to go back to it. If you try going back to like an original Game Boy right now, you'd be like, "Holy crap! How did I ever play on this thing?" So this is your solution for it, really.
Yeah. Especially until Nintendo does something like releasing the Game Boy lineup on Nintendo Switch Online or something like that. That's pretty much it, unless you want to break out your old Game Boy or something. And like you said, some of those systems, like the Game Boy, still stands up pretty well, but Game Gear, that's a different story. And the Game Boys survive fires and bombs and everything else, and still are great. But yeah, some of those games you can't really play. Let's talk about GameCube a little bit. You're like, what? That's crazy. Yeah, there's actually a third-party system out there, or a third-party company that's created some GameCube Joy-Cons for the Nintendo Switch. So these have come out fairly recently. I didn't get any. I held off, even though it was very tempting, because I'm like, you know what, Smash Brothers with that actual Joy-Con that looks like a GameCube controller. Okay, that sounds really exciting. I'm glad I held off because of all the reviews coming in. I hear they're pretty much crap. So, so what do you guys think about these? Have you? I see, Barry shaking his head. He's so excited about them. So yeah, what do you guys think about this? Is it do you think it's worth it? Are you actually even tempted to get them, or you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna hold off and only get the Nintendo branded ones? What do you think, Barry?
I'm not touching them with the 10-foot pole. I got my Joy-Cons, the Demon X Machina ones, the Hori ones. Those are so comfortable and big, and they got extra buttons, and like that's all I need. These are more novelty. This is really just capitalizing on trying to be novel. If you want to play GameCube controller, there are GameCube controllers for the Switch already. I mean, granted, it's not portable, but that's what I'll play. I'll play with those, and if I'm in handheld, I'll use the Hori Demon X Machina controllers because I really like those Joy-Cons, and I recommend them to everybody with bigger hands.
Yeah, you could probably just get a GameCube wireless one and just play it in tabletop mode instead.
Do that too. Yeah. Which I love that controller. That's why I play Smash, the wireless.
Yeah. Greg, what do you think of these? Did you already get them?
No, I don't usually get I haven't gotten third-party controllers since the N64 days, so I don't know. I've never found them to be most of them, the ones that I've used, never be very comfortable. They just feel so different than the normal Nintendo one. So I usually always adapt just to use the normal Nintendo released controllers.
Yeah. So here's the real question, though. Do you think, I mean, finally we got a third party, even though they're not very good, but do you think that Nintendo's actually going to put out controllers like this that are official, that actually do mimic maybe their older consoles controllers, or maybe different styles of Joy-Con moving forward? Or do you think, you know what, that's old, those just things that we're hoping for, they're pipe dreams, and Nintendo's just actually not going to ever do something like that? What do you think, Barry?
I think when the Switch was first announced, people had this idea that there would be different Joy-Cons for different games, and oh, how cool would that be? And one of the concepts was a GameCube Joy-Con and 64 Joy-Con. I think if Nintendo was going to do that, they would have done it by now. I mean, they technically made NES Joy-Cons that you can't be played as Joy-Cons. They're not going to do it. They're not going to touch it. I think if anything, we're going to get next an N64 wireless controller from Nintendo, and then maybe an official GameCube controller that's not made by Hori, wireless as well, but again, all for docked play. I do not see, and those would obviously be with the Nintendo Online adding in those games, of course, but I do not see them doing this. I think at this point that ship would have sailed, and even if they did it now, it'd be more like desperation. I mean, specialty. Even like specialty Joy-Cons like the Demon X Machina, again, those came from Hori. I could see Hori trying to do it, or a third party trying to do it, but Nintendo, I don't want them to do it. I want them to put their R&D to Switch Pro.
Yeah. Greg, what do you think? Should they do this? And if they did, what kind of controller, what kind of Joy-Con would you like to see?
I'd be kind of curious about the N64 one. Would they still be three-pronged Joy-Con? What?
That'd be interesting. Yeah, a little somehow come up with another one that comes out there.
Yeah. But yeah, that one would be pretty neat. Despite all its unusualness, I've actually really liked the N64 controller. So
I never minded it.
Nice. Yeah.
I know people are like, oh, you need three hands to use this. No, you don't.
No.
Right here for the joystick and the trigger. Right here for the buttons.
That's right. You're not holding it right. That's like the whole iPhone thing.
No one uses the D-pad.
That's right. I never used that thing.
Really? There were some games that used it, like Mischief Makers. I used it.
Yeah,
I know those are very few games that used it, but
yeah. I tended to use it if it was a platformer or something like that, but it was very rarely that I held it that direction. And I never did the other configuration where it was the control pad and the right hand in the middle. Like that was an option, but I never saw a point for that. So yeah.
Yep.
Jakester says that he sees no point in that. He plays on the TV with the Pro Controller, and when he does play handheld, he just sticks to normal. He actually really did like the GameCube controller, but doesn't see a point in having Joy-Cons that are like that though. So yeah, I think it'd be nice. It'd be cool. Maybe if Hori did it, I think it'd definitely be better than this other company. I think there's some weird choices they made with those things that make it really odd. But yeah. Let's move on. A couple of other stories before we wrap up today. Greg, you know a lot more about this one, so I'm going to toss it over to you. But there's some rumors going on that Nintendo scrapped some 3DS plans. So tell us a little about that.
Yeah, so I was reading on like Nintendo everything that they did like some interviews and whatnot, and it kind of seemed like with the poor sales of the Mario and the Luigi games, and obviously the bankruptcy of Alpha Dream, that a number of the planned 3DS games actually had to get scrapped. I guess there was like a Fire Emblem remake that they were working on among some other games that were not mentioned. So yeah, that was definitely kind of interesting to see, because I mean, I think most people consider the 3DS to be mostly dead at this point. So I guess it's kind of surprising to hear that they actually had much more games in the works. But I guess the good news is they can always port them over to Switch, as well as what they were also saying too. So perhaps we can see like the next Fire Emblem Echoes game on the Switch, and I would definitely greatly like to see that. I think I actually predicted that in our last E3 thing. So I don't know what you guys think or have any thoughts on it.
Yeah, you can go first, Barry.
I think it was a safe bet that that's what they were doing, because if you look at Nintendo's release calendar for the last 2018, 2019 for the Switch, you had, I think the only like semi-new game was the WarioWare game, which was really all the game, like 100 of the best games from previous WarioWare games. You had Kirby Epic Yarn getting a remake. You had Luigi's Mansion getting a remake. 2 Mario and Luigi remakes. Fire Emblem Echoes. And then a few original titles that were also put to Switch, like Sushi Strikers, Fire Emblem Heroes, or Fire Emblem Warriors. I mean, that's the avenue that they were going to go down. And then, of course, they had Yokai Watch 3, which is like, oh, that's a new game, and it is, but it came out 2 years ago in Japan at that time. So it was just really translating. Persona Q2 from Atlas was one of the few third-party titles, and even that was like, it was an older 3DS game they just decided to bring over, and they didn't even do vocal translation. It's just text. The 3DS's writing was in the wall the second the Switch came into life. And I could see Nintendo trying to milk it with, oh, look, we're keeping it alive with remakes. That's doing the least amount of work to pass at that point. The best thing for the 3DS was for it to just die, because that will only help the Switch succeed. And I do hope they take these titles, and one of them rumored was Link's Awakening, was rumored to be in works for the 3DS, and then moved over to the Switch, which makes sense because that was made by Grezzo. Grezzo did work a lot in the 3DS and did Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Start bringing them to Switch. Even if they were to take the existing 3DS ports and put them in a compilation, I don't think people would mind. I think they said, here's Ocarina of Time 3D and Majora's Mask 3D together, boom. People would go crazy. Like, all right, let's do this, Put the Mario and Luigi games together in a compilation. Cool. Luigi's Mansion 1 and 2, put it together. I think it would be fine. So they need to, actually Grezzo, I think, did Luigi's Mansion as well. They need to, if they want to do that, they need to do it. Otherwise, just move on. But it makes sense. I mean, it's sad. There's always new possible games to play, but the 3DS was bleeding. It was hemorrhaging. Putting a Band-Aid on it isn't going to do well, and that's obvious with the sales. The Switch is just too much of a moneymaker right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it did make some sense to me, at least, that it would be true. I mean, it was kind of like the Wii U. I mean, even like with like the Breath of the Wild or whatever being like the swan song thing, like even like the year before it came out, it was still pretty like bone dry. Like you could totally tell everything was like focused like entirely on the Switch development and Switch games at that time. So obviously they really wanted the Switch to succeed, and obviously they still needed to keep a few games going to the 3DS, but without something that's like a new Zelda game or Mario Kart 9 or something like that, there's no way that they could have like expected like the 3DS to really carry on that much longer, I don't think. But maybe they're just too optimistic about it and whatnot. So
yeah. Well, I think it's interesting. I think of the rumor itself, it's interesting that it was because of the poor Mario and Luigi sales, because like that was like the third remake of that game. Is that right? If I get that correctly, I think so. Like
yeah, they did Superstar Saga, and then it was like Bowser's Story, and
yep.
Did they
then
do a third?
yeah, there was something else, but But like, I feel like it was like, I mean,
Are you talking just Alpha Dream or the remakes for the 3DS?
The Mario and Luigi remake.
Just those two.
Those
yeah.
only the
So, but I mean, I don't know if those games are really going to sell well anyway because of the just the remakes. They're not brand new games and all those things. So I'm wondering, like I don't know. I think it's kind of unfortunate that they've kind of blamed those because I don't know if they was going to really have great sales anyhow. It's not like they put a brand new Mario Kart game out and they're like, oh, it had poor sales, so now we're going to end. I think the 3DS had the writing was on the wall anyway. They needed to kill it and just move on anyway.
Well,
so,
not only that.
Yeah.
But you're talking remakes of games that are already playable on the system,
right?
Because they're DS games,
right?
So, well, not Superstar Saga, but at least Bowser's Inside Story.
Yeah.
You could already play that on the 3DS.
Totally. Yeah. And so, I think it's just better that they moved on, and I hope that some of those games I hope they see some new life and just get tweaked some and brought over the Switch because I'm sure they have great ideas there, and I'm guessing that's probably what they're doing with a lot of those games. Nintendo's not necessarily going to throw out, especially, some of their first party games. They're going to just toss them out and never see them again. They're probably already in the process of tweaking them and saying, okay, this is a good idea, but how can we bring this over to the Switch? And it really stops cannibalizing themselves. And they start to put all the emphasis on the Switch instead, which makes more sense in the long term. So, but yeah, another Fire Emblem remake. I don't know, Greg. Like, would you have liked to see that on the 3DS, or are you okay with never seeing that one?
Well, if it's between 3DS and nothing, then definitely the 3DS. But I would hope to see it on the Switch because I'm sure it's probably one of the ones that never made it over here, just like the first Echoes game never was.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Apologize, man. Like coughing a lot over here. All right, so tomorrow, as usual, as happens quite often around here, as I alluded to earlier, we're going to be seeing another Smash Direct tomorrow, coming at 8 a.m. Eastern time, if I got that correctly, I think, and it's about 45 minutes long. However, I think they've said that we won't see any new characters. So 45 minutes long, and we're not supposed to see any new characters. What are they going to be showing in this thing? I'm assuming Terry. They're probably going to release him. I think there's been some possible leaks that maybe we'll see some Mii costumes. Maybe actually Gino and Doomslayer, maybe. Will there be new modes added? What's going to be happening tomorrow at this Direct? What do you think, Barry?
Well, I think if they don't show at least the announcement trailer for the 5th character, it would be a mistake. I mean, you're talking 45 minutes. If he was talking a 10-minute thing, it would be like, all right, it's not happening. 45 minutes. I know they're going to go over 6.0, which isn't coming right away, but is coming soon. They did state that there was no more new modes, which really saddened me, and I hope that they're retracting that. Maybe they're going to talk about the next patch of fighters that they hinted at. Maybe give us a general theme, like, are these going to be Nintendo fighters? Are there's going to be, maybe in Echoes, maybe they're going to show off some Echoes. Maybe when they say no new fighters, maybe they don't, not counting Echoes. Maybe they will show some. Here's some additional Echoes we're throwing in on top of the DLC characters. I don't know. I think 45 minutes is a long time. I do expect to watch Sakurai play 2 controllers against himself, showing Terry's moves, and I do expect a good chunk of it to be about Terry showing him off and everything. That's fine. I think that's a safe bet. I think Terry might even launch tomorrow, which sucks because there's already so much going on. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's without new fighters, without new modes. Does this need to be 45 minutes? Or maybe it's just going to be a walking advertisement to play more games on, this time, Neo Geo instead of Xbox,
It's true, yeah. Greg, any thoughts about the Direct tomorrow?
I have no idea how they're going to fill 45 minutes, but I'm definitely going to be trying to figure out, actually watching it to see how they did it, because without any character announcements or any mode announcements, it's like, are they really going to spend 35 minutes zooming in and showing you all the finest details of like Terry's outfits, like 8 outfits, and each of his like how this was taken from this game and this was taken from this game, and then this move is from this game. I mean, they're like like the super like high depth like coverage, or I mean, it kind of almost has to be if they're not really showing any like new characters or modes. I mean, I don't know if they'll have like a reveal trailer at the end because it's technically not a discussion of the new character, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's usually how Smash stuff works. It's like, oh, like you can talk about everything, and then boom, here's like that trailer thing at the very end.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I apologize. Man, I don't know what's going on. I'm coughing a whole lot. But anyhow, yeah, I think what you said, Barry. I think we'll probably see Sakurai try and, showing off all the moves and everything of Terry and stuff. But I have no idea what they're gonna fill all that time with. But I guess we'll find out pretty soon. You guys waking up early? I gotta wake up even earlier. It's 6 a.m. here in Mountain Time. You guys gonna be up watching it live?
It depends. If I go back to sleep, I'm usually up around 7:30 because that's when my wife leaves for work. But some days I just go back to sleep. So if I can stay up, then yeah. But I'll be like a zombie watching it. But I don't know. We'll see.
Nice, Greg. You gonna be watching it live?
I'm looking it up right now to see what time it's gonna be over here. Cause
that's gonna be 7 o'clock in the morning for you.
Yeah, I'll be able to watch it live because that's normally when I'm up and around and moving. And...
Cool.
Did you see the other news about Smash Brothers that just happened too?
I did not. What just happened?
Smash Brothers Ultimate has officially become the highest-selling fighting game of all time, and the Smash Brothers series is now the highest-selling fighting series of all time among all its games.
Like, wow, that's a pretty
Guinness
record.
Impressive
stat.
Yeah, it's all over 15 million units for Smash Ultimate so far.
Man, oh, congratulations, Nintendo! You're breaking records like crazy. Go figure.
I just clicked on the most oblivious article ever about this because it's saying like, oh, there's rumored to be a trailer for Breath of the Wild 2 with a release date. Like, are you kidding me? That's nowhere near.
Yeah.
I got a question for you guys.
Okay.
Since we're having this now, it's November 5th. By the time of our next podcast, it's going to be the 19th. It's going to be right before Thanksgiving. It's going to be right before Black Friday, right before the big sales. Do you think between now and then, or possibly right after the next podcast, outside of this Smash Direct, we will see a final actual Nintendo Direct for 2019, or another Indie Direct or something along those lines? Or do you think that the September Direct was in fact the last one for all of 2019? We're not going to see anything else until January.
I think it's exactly what you had just at the latter. I think it's definitely up until the January Direct.
They
don't usually have one around the holiday time.
Yeah, I think really their only time is in a couple weeks. I think if they don't have it, let's say on 20th or something like that, I don't think we're going to see it at all. And I don't really know what else we have to see either. Like, there's a lot of stuff that they've already announced even about 2020 games. I mean, unless they wanted to give like a quick one that released at actually like more definite dates of release dates, I could possibly see that. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they'd release like brand new stuff at around this time.
There's also the Game Awards in early December too.
Right.
Which
they usually make the big stuff sometimes there. So, yeah. And Nintendo is usually quite present there and at the Game Awards with a lot of stuff. So, yeah, I think maybe a mini direct with like some release dates for stuff we already know about, but I don't know about a big one.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Yeah. I was just curious what you guys thought.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that does it for the news. Just a reminder that you guys can send in questions and comments and everything, of course, in the chat room while we're doing this live, but you can also send those in at podcast@nintendofuse.com. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that social media. You can join on our discussion in our Discord channel. All those links are going to be in the description down below, and you can also access those in your podcast show notes as well. But let's talk about some upcoming releases over the next couple weeks and what we're looking forward to playing. There's some big stuff coming up, even though we're already backlogged. We've already got some games over the last couple weeks we haven't gotten to yet. We've already talked about that. But over the next couple weeks, I mean, even today, we got Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games 2020 that came out. Just Dance 2020 that I know you guys are all excited about. But on to cool games, we got Super Lucky's Tale. It's coming to Switch on November 8th. Jumanji is coming on November 8th, which I thought that was interesting because the new Jumanji movies are actually video game based, and now we're getting a video game based on the movie, based on a made up video game. Anyway, and then we're having Layton's Mystery Journey is coming on November 8th. Sparklight's coming on November 14th. And then a little game called Pokemon Sword and Shield, November 15th. Munchkin, I'm pretty excited about that one, coming on November 19th because I'm a big fan of the card game. Several other games that are coming over the next couple weeks, but which of those or others are you guys looking forward to playing over the next couple weeks? Greg, what are you excited about over the next couple weeks?
It's pretty much just Super Lucky's Tale, which is also on my Christmas list, so I probably won't be buying it because I don't know if I'm getting it or not for Christmas time. So I'll probably just be hitting up the backlog pretty much for the remainder of the year because I don't know what. I put quite a number of games on my list and not sure which ones I'll be getting.
Nice. Barry, what are you excited about over the next couple weeks?
So many games. My plan is to finish Luigis Mansion 3 by this Friday so I can start new Super Lucky Tale, which I'm really excited for. I wanted to play that game on the Xbox One. I got it at launch on Xbox One and never played it. So now I'm excited to do this version of it. Hat in Time is also this Friday, which I know
right.
Yep. He wants me to play, and I do want to play. And if it wasn't for a little game called Pokemon, I would be tackling that next. But I will be hopefully can finish new Super Lucky Tale before Pokemon, do Pokemon first, because that's something my wife's going to be playing, and this way we can trade and play together.
Yeah.
I also still need to go back to Ukulele at the Impossible Dungeon, which I said I would do after Luigi's Mansion 3 before I looked at the release schedule and said, oh my god. And Mario and Sonic, the Olympic Games, I opened up my package earlier and there it was. I'm like, oh my god, this is here already. I actually want to check that out with the whole 16-bit mode, but that's going to probably fall to December if that, it's just too many games.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's so many that I gotta caught up on. I want to play more of, and then like Pokemon coming out already. I'm like, oh no, I don't have time for another Pokemon game. But I'll be getting it.
Let's go. Did you?
Nah, I'm still bitter that I actually bought it. But anyway, but yeah, I'll be getting Sword and excited about that and everything. So yeah, I want to play the ukulele game as well. I was holding off for
very good.
Possibly getting a review copy of it, but it doesn't look like it's going to work out. So I'll eventually be getting it because I really do want to be playing it.
If you like Donkey Kong Country, you'll like it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's see what else. I feel like Super Lucky's Tale as well as it's more platformer games. I'm all over those kind of games. So. Yeah, pretty excited about that. So, yeah, anything else that you guys are looking forward to playing, doing, writing about? Anything? Got any big interviews coming up, Barry? I know you've been talking to a lot of developers and YouTubers and everything else recently. We got some industry talks up recently. So, yeah, do you got any big plans over the next couple weeks?
I've sent out some more emails, but it's just a matter of time, and it's this crazy time of year. Hopefully I'll hear back and be able to set up something up before the holidays. My father-in-law will be up for almost 3 weeks for Thanksgiving and into December, and that time period I'm like virtually shot. Like this, I really can't do much there because it's all about taking care of them. And even if he's not around, he's bringing us 2 dogs, and they're beagles, and they howl, and they're going to be mixed in with our dogs. So it's really hard to conduct an interview with dogs howling, and I have no idea what's going on upstairs. So I'll see. It all depends on if they're able to get back to me in time. But I'm trying. I'm trying to get up more.
Yeah. What should people go back and listen to and watch? I know you got a couple of recent ones. What's like the big one that if you're like, go listen to this one because it was the better one? Not that not that the other ones are bad, but what's the one that people should definitely go to first?
They're all good. They're all very different. I'm very partial to my interview with Chris from Casual Bit Games, just because I love the story behind Battle Princess Madeline. I love the story behind the Kickstarter, and that is right now available for pre-order and limited run games. In fact, it's interesting because now it's out, and we alluded to it in that interview, but we really couldn't talk about it. But the interview does talk about the reasons why there's 2 versions of the game, and the Switch is actually getting the proper version of the game in addition to the already existing version of the game, which is interesting. So there's 2 versions of this game, and there's more coming from him. He and I actually still talk almost on a daily basis. He's a really sweet guy. I also am partial to the Adam Korlick interview that just went up. That took me over a year to finally get him to settle down. In fact, I just got a tweet notification. He's in Japan right now. The guy travels like crazy. I know you listen to it. He is all over the place. But it's a very casual, fun conversation, and I had a lot of fun doing that. The other ones I've done recently, I also recommend you go there because there's smaller developers, and the smaller developers really need love. They need to get some notoriety. They're trying to make their dreams come true by making these video games, and if we can help them, then great. And we'll see who else is lined up. If not for 2019, maybe 2020. I'm always looking. I'm always trying.
For sure. Yeah. Greg, anything that you're looking forward to beyond those games over the next couple weeks? What can we be expecting from you, or you're just like kind of zoned in to making sure that you get all set for your first dive into Pokemon?
He's gonna be doing Dragon Quest.
Yeah, Dragon Quest 11 is first priority right now. I do have Pokemon Sword on my Christmas list. I don't know if I'll get it, but that might be my first foray into Pokemon. As it was discussed that I like the swords part, so
nice.
It won't be a launch day purchase. I'm sure not going to be done with Dragon Quest 11.
No, and you know what? I'm gonna say this outright right now. Dragon Quest 11 is a better game than Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I will say that boldly.
Even before you played it.
Before I play it, I will say it's going to be a better game. And
is it better than Xenoblade?
No. Although the story is up there. But it's not better.
Nice.
Seeing as I actually love the first 9, I probably don't have any disbelief in your statement.
Honestly, I'll say this, Greg. By playing the first 9 and liking the first 9, you are going to be crying by the end of this in tears of happiness and joy and just, oh my God, like so much love is put into this game. Like seriously, you will be so ecstatic by the end of this game.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll have some, my voice will be in a higher pitch when I'm talking about it.
Nice.
Oh, I so want to say stuff and I can't because it would be spoilers and I don't want it to rob you of that. Just enjoy this game. I'm telling you, you will love it.
I'm looking forward to you two doing a game chat on it eventually. So, I don't doubt you because I think Dragon Quest has always been better than Pokemon overall. Doesn't mean Pokemon's a bad game, but Dragon Quest is always going to be better. So it'd be surprising.
Japan just to play Dragon Quest. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that does it for episode 185. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, especially those of you guys that joined live in the chat throughout this whole live recording of this. Remember to subscribe and share this podcast with others. And our next podcast will be recording live on Tuesday, November 19th at 8:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 Pacific Time, and you can figure out the ones in between. Yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you, Barry, for joining me, and Greg as well.
Of course.
And we'll see you guys next time on November 19th, and hopefully we don't actually skip out this next time. So we should all be there, as long as this cough goes away, and by the next time, I should be good. So,
Yep.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night.